Deep in a lush forest, an enormous brown bear is sleeping through the winter. And as you can see, he is snoring with enough force to literally shake the walls of his cave. This localized earthquake is a massive problem for his neighbor, a tiny forest mouse. For months, the continuous, deafening noise has kept the mouse wide awake, leaving him completely exhausted. Desperate for rest, the mouse tries to break the bear's deep sleep. He shouts at the top of his lungs and even blows vigorously into a tiny bugle right next to the bear's ear. But the massive animal doesn't flinch. The mouse quickly realizes that deep hibernation creates a high biological threshold. A small sound simply cannot pierce it. To wake the bear, the intervention has to match the sheer magnitude of the sleep. This chart compares acoustic output thresholds of forest animals based on physical size. The mouse barely registers on the graph. To generate enough decibels to interrupt the bear, the data points to one viable option: the lion. So the mouse treks over to the lion's cave to ask for help. Approaching the sleeping predator, the extreme size disparity is terrifyingly obvious. A single paw is larger than the mouse's entire body. When the mouse manages to wake him and explain the plan, the giant cat is entirely uncooperative. He refuses to help, explicitly stating that a tiny, useless creature like the mouse has absolutely nothing to offer a king. The lion turns his back and walks away. In his mind, the forest operates on a strict hierarchy of physical scale. Because the mouse lacks mass, he is assumed to lack value, leaving him completely isolated. But shortly after turning the mouse away, the lion loses his regal composure. He begins thrashing erratically, throwing his weight back and forth against the rough bark of a thick tree trunk. The distress escalates quickly. Desperate for relief, the frantic lion sprints to a nearby lake and throws himself fully into the water. But as soon as he dries off, the intense discomfort returns. The apex predator is being brought to his knees by a biological threat hidden deep inside his own fur, a severe micro-infestation of jumping fleas. The lion's primary survival assets are massive scale and a deafening roar. Neither of those tools can isolate or extract microscopic parasites. All his power is suddenly useless. Wandering sadly back home, the mouse hears the commotion and investigates. Because he operates at a smaller scale, he immediately spots the tiny fleas jumping through the lion's coat. This diagram illustrates a magnified cross-section of the lion's fur. The mouse's dimensions allow him to dive between the dense vertical follicles, systematically throwing out every erratic parasite. As the micro-threats are cleared out one by one, the lion finally relaxes. By successfully eliminating the infestation, the mouse proves that specific problems require specific tools. Pure mass is not a universal solution, and a smaller tool can navigate spaces a massive one cannot. The lion is visibly embarrassed. He acknowledges his mistake in dismissing the mouse, and to settle the debt, he offers to deploy his macro-scale tool to solve the mouse's original problem. The two animals travel back to the neighboring cave. The lion steps up to the sleeping bear, takes a massive breath, and lets loose a deafening roar that physically shakes the stone floor. That massive wave of kinetic energy easily shatters the bear's biological stasis. By trading their unique capabilities, the mouse and the lion successfully execute a solution that neither could achieve on their own. Startled awake, the giant bear stumbles out of the cave in a complete daze, asking the laughing forest animals if summer has already arrived. With the bear finally moving, the localized earthquake of his snoring ends. The auditory baseline of the forest is restored, and the exhausted mouse can finally get some sleep. The ecosystem functions smoothly again, and it highlights a clear reality. An entity's value cannot be measured by physical size alone. A balanced environment relies entirely on mutual aid across